What's happening, guys? Good morning, America. Good day, everyone. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch TV in an effort of bringing the financial markets to your doorstep and help each and every one of you make informed decisions about investments and the amazing CFDs markets. The episode today is sponsored by our partners at Forex and Markets.com. If you like what you see, guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe and support us in delivering more great content. Feel free to type any questions you have and interact with me during these live broadcasts, and I will do my best to answer every single question you're sending. We are just a few minutes ahead of the U.S. markets opening, and so far we see limited optimism on the U.S. stock markets today after disappointing quarterly results from Netflix, which dropped 6% after announcing their third quarter figures and didn't meet consensus estimates. The stimulus bill is still in talks today with President Donald Trump added that he's willing to accept a large aid bill. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said yesterday that the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin have made good progress on stimulus talks, but again, nothing happened yet. Let's hope today we're going to get some good news. We are in the middle of the earnings season, guys, and the earnings season continues today with Tesla announcing their quarterly figures after market closing today. And sources familiar with the matter stated that we should see some profits for the electric car manufacturer. Also, a number of health-related stocks will announce their numbers today, starting with Abbott Laboratories, Biogen, Thermo Fisher Scientific, and Edward Life Sciences. In commodities markets, U.S. crude and U.S. Brent both traded lower today after the API inventories last night showed a surprising increase in U.S. stockpiles. All eyes on the crude oil inventories today at 5:30 GMT plus 3, which is exactly in 1 hour from now. Gold futures traded as high as 19.25 on the back of a weak U.S. dollar, and also, silver futures pushed higher towards the 25.50 level. Welcome to the U.S. trading session, everyone. We are exactly 10 minutes ahead of the official opening. We're going to ring the bell together like we do every day. But before we get there, let's have a quick look at the markets and see what happened today. Top 5 things to know in the markets today, guys. We're going to start with number 1 on the board. Stimulus stocks heading to overtime. Dollar bonds slump. The political theater over U.S. fiscal stimulus package drags on into another day, with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi extending her self-imposed deadline for a deal, and President Donald Trump putting more pressure on Senate Republicans via Twitter and the campaign trail to agree to a larger package of support measures. Growing confidence in a deal drove 10-year and 30-year U.S. Treasury yields to their highest in over 4 months overnight, also pushing the U.S. dollar index down to its lowest in 6 weeks. On a relatively light day for data, macro concerns will be focused on the outcome of any further talks between Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin. There will also be speeches from Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester. Sorry, guys, I'm struggling with the names sometimes. And more interest, Fed Governor Lael Brainard. Brainard has been tipped as a possible Treasury Secretary if Democratic Party nominee Joe Biden wins the presidential election in November. Right, so far, so good. We have quite a bit of news coming from the States. Let's move on. Let's see what number 2 on the board is. Netflix disappoints Snap. Cheers. Netflix earnings disappointed again, pushing the stock down over 5.5% in after-hours trading yesterday. The company's figures showed how much of its gains in new subscribers in the first half had merely been pulled forward, leading to slower growth in the third quarter. Earnings per share also fell well short of expectations. Even so, the company remains on track for its biggest year ever in terms of subscribers growth, and its stock remains only a few percent off its all-time high. Right, there's the proof, guys. If your product is solid, if your product really is really useful, then even though your quarterly earnings will not meet consensus expectations, then you can still do really well. Let's see what's going to happen in the fourth quarter, though, as we're going to see the outcome of what happened in the last couple of months. in December. Yeah. So let's see how December will be like for Netflix. Right, let's move on. Let's move on to number 3 on the board. Stocks are set to open flat, aiming earnings the lunge. We see the U.S. stock markets poised to open flat, having risen yesterday in response to the progress of the stimulus stocks and having largely shrugged off the news of the Department of Justice antitrust suit against Google owner Alphabet. Moving on, we see that at 6:20 a.m. Eastern Time, Dow futures were down 8.5 points or less than 0.1%, while the S&P 500 futures were up less than 0.1%, and NASDAQ 100 futures were up a fraction more. A torrent of earnings will cast light on the performance of pretty much every sector of the economy in the course of the day. We have Verizon, we have Abbott Laboratories, getting the ball rolling with Next Era Energy, Biogen, CSX, Kinder Morgan, and many other names that will report their quarterly numbers after the market close today. Number 4 on the board, guys, Tesla to report earnings. Elon Musk's electric car maker will top the earnings season bill after the close under an intense spotlight to deliver an improvement in underlying profits after falling to convince the S&P 500 index guardians that it deserved a place in the S&P 500 with its profits in the second quarter. While the company has already posted record deliveries for the quarter, operating margins appear to have come under pressure as the company starts using its Shanghai factory, good luck with that, built to serve the world's biggest electric vehicle market, to export to Europe and other markets. Analysts expect earnings per share of 55 cents, up from 44 cents in the second quarter on a revenue of $8.26 billion, up from $6.4 billion 3 months earlier. They'll be looking especially closely at the contribution from sales of emissions credits to other automakers, which accounted for all of the second quarter profits and more. Okay, this is what is happening so far. Let's have a quick look at number 5 on the board, guys, and then we are moving closer and closer to the U.S. markets opening. Crude oil prices came off the highs posted in reaction to progress on the U.S. stimulus talks, but remain well supported, helped by weaknesses in dollar, which it makes oil cheaper for non-U.S. buyers. Yes, that's true. That's a way of looking at the things as well. On the other hand, we're looking at a saturated market, an oversupplied market, and very little demand. And with more countries going into lockdown due to this bloody COVID pandemic that apparently put the economies on hold all over the world. Okay, it's very difficult to push the prices higher than this when there's literally no demand for oil. And if more countries will go into lockdown, then let's see what's going to happen with the oil price, guys. It might go even low as $30 per barrel, or even lower as we saw a few months ago. All right, let's move on and finish the article, and then we're going to have a look at the charts. By 6:25 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. crude futures were down at $41.09 a barrel, down 1.5% on the day, while Brent futures were down 1.2% at $42.66 a barrel. At 10:30, which is exactly 1 hour from now, guys, roughly 1 hour from now, the Energy Information Administration will release its weekly data on oil inventories. The consensus forecast for a drawn stockpiles of over 1 million barrels looks vulnerable to a negative surprise after the American Petroleum Institute estimated a build of nearly 600,000 barrels late on Tuesday. This is what is happening so far, guys. Let's have a quick look at the charts and see how the assets moved today. We had the fantastic pleasure of having Joe Monteiro in the studio at the European markets opening today. Guys, you can find the video on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, okay, and all the social media sources where we are broadcasting live. If you like what you see, like, share, and subscribe. If you don't like what you see, still like, share, and subscribe, and just annoy your enemies. If you don't like something, pass it on to the people you don't like. But still, like, share, subscribe, much appreciated. Now, let's move on. Let's have a look at crude oil, which is been pushing down in the last 3 hours from what we see on the charts. Yeah, for beginner traders, okay, we're looking at the charts on a 1 hour chart. Every candlestick represents 1 hour. Yeah, and we are focusing on this part of the chart. Yeah, but it's always a good idea to zoom out a bit and see the bigger picture. Now, currently, crude oil is trading at $40.81. Apparently heading lower, heading towards the 40.32 or potentially the $40 mark. Okay, let's see what's going to happen with the crude oil inventories, if they're going to push the oil price in 1 hour towards the $40 mark, or if they're going to help the markets reversing and aiming higher towards the $41.50 or the $42 mark. Okay, only time will tell. Moving on, we're looking at the euro, which moved more or less sideways today. It had a fantastic rally on the US trading session last night and overnight on the Asian trading session. Today, it went more or less sideways. Okay, nothing big happened. We see the RSI and the stochastic pointing downwards. Yeah, a pullback is expected, guys, if you think about it, after a rally of almost 24 hours. Okay, the dollar dropped drastically yesterday. We're going to get to the dollar, and today as well. We're going to get to the dollar soon. But as we are getting closer to the stimulus bill, and all the parties will hopefully agree on it, then, okay, that gives the U.S. markets a bit of boost, a bit of confidence that things will settle. Yeah, we'll try and settle and help everyone have a Merry Christmas, let's say. Okay, we're looking at the pound, which again did fairly well today, pulling back in the last hour or so, currently trading at 130.76. Okay, with the RSI and the stochastic way in the overbought section. So again, a correction is expected. Yeah, it's normal. It's completely normal to see corrections after such a rally of the market. Yeah, we can see a rally of 24 hours, for 2-3 trading sessions straight, the pound strengthened versus the US dollar. Moving on to the USD JPY, guys, you can see the drop, the fantastic drop that the US dollar had in the last 24 hours. Yeah, with the RSI and the stochastic pointing upwards, and currently being situated way in the oversold levels. So again, a bit of hope, a bit of boost, a bit of confidence, should help the US dollar at least break even today, if not go back into profits, continuing the uptrend. The Aussie dollar, as we look at it, it managed to make a correction of 100%. Yeah, looking at this, the most recent drop. Okay, now obviously it's correcting a bit. Once the US dollar starts pushing higher, USD Canadian, you can see a bit more buying power on the USD versus Canadian. Okay, maybe that has to do with the numbers that we saw on the Canadian dollar earlier on. Okay, we're looking at core CPI, core retail sales, new housing price index, which is the only one that came out green, basically. Okay, and then we have retail sales coming out red, way below consensus expectations. Okay, this is one of the explanations why the US dollar is strengthening a bit versus the Canadian dollar. Okay, again, guys, this is for you to understand how some currencies are affected by announcements, and these announcements happen every day in the economic calendar. So if you want to be a successful trader for the long run, you have to be aware, you have to know what is happening in the economic calendar, and that's why I'm sharing this with you every day. Let's move on and see what happened with the S&P 500. Guys, bear with me for just a second. I don't want to miss the US opening. There we go. We're exactly 1 minute, I think, ahead of the US opening. We're going to get to ring the bell together again today. Where's the bell? There is the bell. Okay, you can see the smiley bell. Okay, again, 30 seconds, I think, if not less, to the U.S. market opening. We see a lot of COVID advertisement. That's why they are delaying it for about a minute or so. But no worries, all eyes on the markets. Okay, I'm sure it's going to start any minute now. Right, until then, let's have a quick look at the US dollar index. Bear with me for a second. I'll just bring Bloomberg on the screen as well, not to miss anything. We see the US dollar index again on a 1-hour chart, guys. That traded lower and lower and lower again for the last 24 to 36 hours. Finally, it started recovering from the 92.64 level. Yeah, 92.60. It started recovering. It's still very, very shy. We look at the stochastic and the RSI way in the oversold levels. Okay, so probably with the good news that's going to come today, we're going to see the US dollar index recovering a bit. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, guys. Everyone is waiting for the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, guys. We are 10 seconds from the US market opening. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there we go. Welcome to the US trading session, everyone. It's official. The US markets are open. Let's keep an eye on the charts and see how the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones will open today. Hey, let's hope the charts will react. We see a positive opening. Let me decrease the time frame, guys, to a 5-minute chart. Right, we see a positive opening, but again, very early to say what's going to happen or what's expected to happen on the S&P 500. We're looking at the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones, even though it opened positive, it opened lower, guys. It's very difficult to understand. I don't get it. It opened on a positive note, but it opened lower than the closing yesterday. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. Let's go to the US dollar index. Wow, there you go, guys. Red candlestick. The US dollar index is taking a hit shortly after the American opening. Okay, let's see if it's going to continue the downtrend. I'm really curious. Let's look at it on a 4-hour chart and try and understand the previous low. Right. Looking from left to right, yeah, we can see the previous low was somewhere there. Okay, so don't be surprised if you're going to see the US dollar index going even lower and testing the 92.22 level. Okay, even though the RSI and the stochastic are way in the oversold, that can still happen, guys. That can still happen. The US dollar can go even lower. We're going to give the markets a few minutes to settle down, and then we're going to have a look at some trading signals. Before that, we're looking at gold, which is currently trading at 1928. Gold had a fantastic rally, guys. Gold moved about $20 in the last 24 hours. Amazing rally for gold. Joe Monteiro this morning was saying that his analysis and his opinion is that we might see gold reaching the 2,200 level somewhere at the end of the year or just after the year end, somewhere in January or February. But he seemed very convinced that the US dollar is set to go lower and lower, pushing gold higher. If that's the case or not, only time will tell, guys. And if you want to see what will happen, keep an eye on InstructFX. Keep an eye on these amazing webcasts that we do every day. And you will be aware of the latest market movements. Let's move on. Let's have a look at Brent oil futures, which after the US opening, again, they are trying to head lower from what we see here. Bear with me for a second. Let's look at it on a 5-minute chart. Yeah, we see a red candlestick opening right now. As I was saying earlier on, guys, it's very difficult to believe that crude oil and Brent oil can go higher in price, considering that we're one step away from a global lockdown once again this year. What a year it was, guys. What a year it was, and it's not over yet. We're looking at silver futures currently trading at 25.20. They gave back about 5 points from the US opening, but the rally was quite impressive in the last 24 hours for silver as well. We're looking at Tesla, guys, which opened on a positive note today. A lot of positivity around Tesla. Yeah, apparently they will release some profits. They will release some green numbers. Okay, and then the share price might go higher yet towards the 440, 450, or why not even the $470 per share. Okay, moving on. We're looking at Bitcoin, guys, which performed amazingly in the last couple of days. Looking at the Bitcoin and at the US dollar index performance, we can see them moving in opposite directions. And again, as I was talking to João Monteiro this morning, Bitcoin tends to become more and more safe haven. Yeah. So far, the safe haven assets, as everyone knows, are gold and the Japanese yen. Okay, lately with the tremendous pressure on the US dollar and on the US stock markets, we see Bitcoin reacting exactly the opposite from the US dollar. So this one explanation for this might be that investors are parking their cash into cryptocurrencies, into Bitcoin, which is decentralized and which supposedly cannot be manipulated by any local authority. Yeah, no government, no local bank. Okay, nothing like that. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are decentralized, guys, and supposedly they only react to your actions. Yeah, the more you buy it, the more you sell it, then the more it's going to go up or down. It has to do a lot with investor sentiment. Okay, let's move on and have a look at a very, very interesting article. Okay, it has to do with bear with me for a second because I have these annoying pop-ups. It has to do with the stimulus talks. Hopefully, we're gonna get something out of it today. President Donald Trump added that he was willing to accept a large aid bill in opposition to some members of his own Republican party in the Senate, and negotiations are set to continue today. The two sides have struggled for months to overcome fundamental disagreements over additional stimulus, including the size of the deal and the measures covered, as the COVID pandemic continues to stunt economic growth. Okay, let's move on. Now, a very, very interesting one in the economic calendar, guys. We're going to have the Beige Book announced today at 2100 hours GMT plus 3. Okay, and I'm going to give you an explanation on the Beige Book. The main economic release today is the Federal Reserve's October Beige Book, which should provide a snapshot from businesses and communities about how the resurgence of COVID is being felt across the country. Okay, so this gives you an insight on the economy and other stuff going on behind it. It's very interesting to know, guys, if you're into this kind of thing, if you're a picky trader, yeah, if you like to be aware. Okay, it's very, very important to know what happens with the Beige Book and what it covers. Now, let's go on to the battle over the COVID relief that is intensifying ahead of the US elections. Okay, plenty of hurdles remain, however, not the least of which was the overall price tag of a bill that could be in a range of $2.2 trillion, the number Democrats have been pushing for months. Reports that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell would resist fast action further muddied the outlook and potentially put him at odds with Donald Trump on an effort that is a high priority for American voters. Despite Trump's insistence that his fellow Republicans in Congress would fall in line behind the big bill, there were no signs yet that those lawmakers would go along with anything costing more than around $500 billion. House of Representative Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the nation's top Democrat, and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin were slated to continue their negotiations on Wednesday, which is today. Renewed direct payments to household and expanded unemployment insurance were among the previous being discussed. Very interesting. In a Twitter posting yesterday, Nancy Pelosi, Deputy Chief of Staff Drew Hamill, wrote, on several open questions, the Speaker and the Secretary called for the congressional committee chairs to work to resolve differences about funding levels and language. Meanwhile, a senior Senate Republican aide late yesterday told Reuters that McConnell does not want to bring a large COVID aid bill to the Senate floor before November 3rd. Okay, now, As you see, guys, there's no secret about it. It all has to do with the U.S. elections. Apparently, the U.S. elections tend to weigh more than the COVID pandemic that is suppressing the U.S. businesses, okay, and the businesses around the world. Okay, let's see what the outcome will be. Moving on with the article, nonetheless, Donald Trump, who is lagging in his re-election bid, according to national public opinion polls, told Fox News yesterday that he wanted an even bigger relief bill than what the Democrats were advocating. Pelosi told reporters in the U.S. Capitol that she hoped for progress on a bill by week's end, although she later wrote in a letter to her fellow Democrats of the possibility of a deal before the election. Right, and now the drama, guys. The U.S. has recorded more than 8.2 million cases of coronavirus, and more than 220,000 people have died, the highest death toll in the world. Okay, despite more than $3 trillion in economic and healthcare aid provided by Washington since early this year, the U.S. economy has lost millions of jobs as business operations have been severely curtailed in an attempt to contain the virus. Donald Trump has tried to minimize the seriousness of the pandemic, even after he was hospitalized with the COVID-19 in September. Right. I gotta say something on this one, guys. I gotta say it. Now, I've watched and I've listened to his one of his statements, and somewhere very far he had a point. Yeah, he turned around and said, so what do you want me to do? Just tell everyone that we're all going to die and we're all going to hell? What do you want me to do? I'm trying to boost their morale. I'm trying to keep my fellow Americans from going in depression. Now, if you think about it from a parent's point of view, he has a point. But if you think about it on the other hand, 8.2 million cases of COVID and more than 220,000 people dying. Come on, man. It's real. It's there. People are dying. It's not, it's serious. Yeah. Don't minimize the seriousness. This pandemic is serious. Yeah. As the Pelosi-Mnuchin negotiations continue, the Senate was scheduled to vote on a $500 billion Republican aid plan that already has rejected last month and is expected to face the same fate today. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows told CNBC yesterday that while progress was achieved, there still was a ways to go to get a deal. Okay, I know this article is quite long, guys. I know some of you might be bored, but it's really, really serious what's happening, and the entire world economy basically is relying on these events that will happen today, hopefully, and in the near future, including the elections on the 3rd of November. Okay, so it's very, very important to understand, especially ahead of the elections, how Republicans, what's their point of view, how Democrats see things, how Donald Trump sees the things, if someone is planning to vote for Donald Trump, okay, in the elections. And that's why I wanted to run this article by you. Now, we are exactly 15 minutes into the U.S. opening, guys. Let's have a quick look and see what is happening with the charts. I'm just going to decrease the time frame to a 5-minute chart, and hopefully we're going to get a better understanding. We're looking at roughly 2 or 3 candlesticks, yeah, on oh no, sorry, we're looking at more than that. We're looking at 5 or 6 candlesticks, sorry, because we're on a 5-minute chart since the US opening. Let's have a quick look at the Euro USD. Again, nothing really happened. The markets didn't manage to settle yet. We see the pound still pushing higher. Okay, currently trading at 131 flat. Very good rally for the pound in the last 24 hours. Apparently, some good news is coming from UK, or some really bad news is coming from the States, guys, if the pound is reacting like this versus the US dollar. Okay, what I'm curious about, very curious about, USD JPY and USD Canadian, which by the looks of it, they're both pointing downwards. Okay, they might extend the downtrend. Okay, we're looking at the S&P 500. Finally, some clarification on the S&P 500. Indeed, a positive opening today, guys. Okay, and the S&P 500 is indeed trading higher, as well as the Dow Jones. Hopefully, they're going to agree on the stimulus measures any minute now, and the U.S. stock markets will recover. Moving on, and we're looking at the US dollar index, which very, very shy, very, very undecided. We see a green candlestick opening right now at 92.68, but I don't know. I don't know what to say. Only time will tell. Okay, it might turn around. Yeah, remember, it might turn around once you get a very, very good news. There you go. Let's look at it on a daily chart. All right, there we are. Okay, there we are on a daily chart. All right. Now, if the US dollar index decides to go even lower, yeah, and looking at it on a daily chart, looking at the RSI and the stochastic at the bottom of the screen, we see the RSI still has quite a bit of room to go until it enters the oversold levels, and the stochastic is pointing downwards. We can see the both lines, yeah, the red line and the blue line on the stochastic still open. They haven't turned around yet, so let's see what's going to happen. With the U.S. stocks pushing higher today, they might push the U.S. dollar lower, and we might see it reaching the 92.20 level, which is not far from where the price is now. Yeah, the U.S. dollar index is trading at 92.68, and the support level is somewhere around the 92.24. Yeah, so we're looking at what? About 24 pips. Okay, 24 points from the actual price. Okay, which is nothing. That could happen in a couple of hours. Yeah, on the other hand, gold is pushing higher and higher. Let's look at it on a 5-minute chart. Yeah, still a bit undecided, still waiting for the US markets to settle after the opening. But gold, again, did a fantastic job in the last 24 hours, moving about $20, okay, $18, $20, okay, from where it was yesterday. Bitcoin is still pushing higher towards the 12,500. It's very, very close to the 12,500. Look at the rally, guys. Look at the rally for the Bitcoin. Again, with Joe Monteiro this morning, we were talking about Bitcoin, and he said we might see Bitcoin going back up to the $20,000 level somewhere next year, early next year, he said. Hey, looking at it, that's very, very likely to happen if we're going to see more rallies like this happening. All right. Now, quick look at some trading signals, again, from investing.com, guys. Half an hour after the US opening. Okay, we're looking at the euro neutral on a 5-minute chart. The pound versus the dollar is set on a 4 times strong buy. USD JPY, strong sell. USD Canadian is neutral. Okay, wait for the markets to turn around. And if you want, focus on something that gives you a bit more clarity on the direction. GBP JPY, for example, strong buy on 4 time frames. GBP CHF, again, strong buy on 3 time frames. Remember, guys, it's not a must to trade every single asset or to trade only the majors. Yeah, we're looking at gold and silver with a strong buy signals from investing.com. Copper, again, is looking at a buy on a 5-minute chart and strong buy on 15 minutes, hourly and daily. We're looking at crude oil WTI and the Brent oil on strong sell on 3 time frames. Okay, so trade carefully, guys, if you are trading oil. Okay, the best thing would be probably to balance your positions somehow. Look for another asset that might help you balance your positions. We're looking at US wheat set on a strong buy on all 4 time frames. Right, this is it, guys. This is it from my side today. You can see we added another banner. The banner from our partners at markets.com has landed today. Okay, now we have 2 banners. We have room for another one. So if you're interested, get in touch, give us a call, get in touch, send us an email at TheChartWhisperer@gmail.com and let us know if you're interested in advertising with us. This was it from my side, guys. Don't go anywhere because we're coming back live in less than 5 minutes with Giovanni that will show us the money. Stay tuned, guys. Until tomorrow, remember to trade responsibly and may all your trades be in the money.